My brother's fiancée tried to steal my company. My parents helped her do it, and they all expected me to smile and give a toast at the engagement party. So I did. I gave a toast no one in that room will ever forget. I'm Jason. I'm 32 years old, and 6 months ago I stood on a stage in front of 100 people and detonated my family's entire world with the push of a button. But before I tell you about that night, I need to take you back to the dinner where it all started. The dinner where I finally understood exactly what I was to them. It was a Sunday evening. My mother, Diane, insisted on these weekly family dinners like they were sacred. She called them tradition. I called them a command performance, because that's what it was. A show. Alex, my older brother, was always the headliner. I was the stagehand nobody noticed. This particular Sunday, Alex had brought his new girlfriend home for the first time, Chloe. She worked at a big venture capital fund, and you could tell within 30 seconds of meeting her that she knew it. She wore her ambition like a weapon. Sharp eyes, sharp smile, everything calculated. We sat around my parents' dining table. The conversation orbited around Alex the way it always did. His new real estate deal, his new car, his upcoming trip to Aspen. I was picking at my roasted chicken, trying to be invisible, which was pretty much my permanent setting at these things. Then Chloe turned to me. So, Alex tells me you're a programmer, Jason. She said it the way you'd say exterminator, like it was cute, but vaguely embarrassing. I'm a data scientist, actually, I said. I run my own. She cut me off with this little laugh. Oh, that's adorable. Your own little spreadsheet company. That's so sweet that you have a hobby that pays the bills. The whole table laughed. Not mean, cruel laughter. Worse, the gentle, dismissive kind. The kind that says, we don't take you seriously enough to even be mean to you. Alex draped his arm over Chloe's shoulder. She's a firecracker, isn't she? My mom chimed in with that voice she uses when she's pretending to care. Jason, honey, we just worry. Tech is so unstable. Not like what Alex does. His work is solid, tangible. Then my father cleared his throat. When Richard Miller clears his throat, a verdict is coming. Your brother builds things, Jason. He works with people who have real assets. You sit in a dark room and type. We just want you to have a secure future. Every word was a brick in a wall they'd been building around me my whole life. And I just sat there and took it, like I always did. But Chloe wasn't done. She leaned forward, looked at my parents with this warm, generous expression, and said, you know, if Jason ever wants a real career, my fund is always looking for junior analysts. I could put in a good word. She was offering to hire me as a junior employee at the very company that was, as I'd soon find out, trying to steal everything I'd built. And my family? They lit up. My mom actually clasped her hands together. Oh, Chloe, that would be wonderful. Jason, you should really consider it. A real opportunity like that doesn't come around every day. A real opportunity. My company was 2 months away from closing an 8-figure acquisition deal, and my mother was excited about a junior analyst position. I tried one more time. I've actually been developing a forensic accounting AI, I said, keeping my voice steady. It detects sophisticated financial fraud. It's... Chloe waved her hand. Oh, honey, leave that to the big players. My firm is actually acquiring a small AI company right now. Real professionals, with a brilliant algorithm. It's a bit out of your league. She looked me up and down when she said that. Out of your league. My brother snickered. My parents nodded. I put my fork down. The metallic clink was loud in the silence. I didn't say a word. I just looked at all of them and let the quiet hang there. My father broke it. Jason, don't be rude, he hissed across the table. Stop making the family look bad. Not stand up for yourself. Not that's enough. Just stop making us look bad. My job was to absorb the hits and protect their image. That was my role. And sitting there, something happened. I remembered being 10 years old, standing in our living room next to my science fair project. I'd won first place, blue ribbon. But nobody looked because Alex had just made the JV basketball team and the whole house was celebrating. And I remembered being 19, standing in my father's study with a business plan I'd worked on for months. asking for $20,000 in seed money to start my company. He shook his head like I was describing a terminal illness. It's too risky, Jason. This computer fantasy of yours. 2 weeks later, he bought Alex a brand new BMW for being named Salesman of the Month. $20,000 would have been a rounding error on that car. But the memory that hit hardest was simpler than all of that. I was maybe 7 or 8, and my dad took me to a computer store. Just me and him. He put his hand on my shoulder and said, "You're gonna build something amazing someday, kid." I looked across the table at that same man, the one who was now telling me I sat in a dark room and typed for a living, and I thought, what happened to you? What happened to us? I picked up my fork again, but I didn't eat. I just sat there like a ghost at my own family's table. I drove home that night telling myself it was just another dinner. Just another round of punches I'd learned to absorb. But at 2 in the morning, sitting alone in my office, I opened an email that changed everything. The email came from an anonymous encrypted address. No name, no signature. The subject line was just 3 letters. VCF. Close fund. I should have deleted it. I should have written it off as spam. But something in my gut told me to open it. The message was short. Be careful. VCF isn't buying. They're stealing. They're trying to reverse engineer the algorithm of their AI acquisition target. The director leading it thinks the founder is some small-time chump they can roll over. Don't be that chump. I read it 3 times. My hands started shaking. Not from fear, but from a cold, slow-building rage that started in my chest and spread outward like ice cracking across a frozen lake. He called Ben, my co-founder, my best friend since college, and the only person on the planet who saw me as me. Not as Alex's weird little brother. He was still at the office. Of course he was. I told him to pull up our server access logs. Everything from the last 30 days. 20 minutes later, I was standing behind him, staring at 3 monitors, and the story those logs told made me sick. VCF had access to a sandbox demo of our software, Aurelia Analytics, the forensic accounting AI I'd spent 5 years building from nothing. We gave demo access to potential investors under strict NDAs. Their activity started normal, standard queries, poking around the interface. But over the past week, it had turned aggressive. They were hammering our firewalls, trying to access the source code directory over and over. It was the digital equivalent of someone jiggling every lock on your house at 3 in the morning. They're not evaluating your product, Ben said, his jaw tight. They're trying to steal it, but that wasn't the worst part. I traced the IP addresses behind the attacks. Most were hidden behind VPNs, but a few of the earlier, sloppier attempts weren't masked at all. They traced back to a residential address. I ran a lookup, and the result hit me like a fist to the sternum. The EP was registered to my cousin David. The one who always seemed to be in my corner. The good cousin who asked about my work at family barbecues, who told me what I was building was really cool stuff. He'd been at a cookout a few months back when I mentioned a major breakthrough with Aurelia's predictive modeling. Alex had wandered over with a beer, overheard us, cracked a joke about my robot brain, and walked away. I thought David was the one person in my family who actually cared. I called him immediately. No small talk. Why, David? Long pause. Jason, what are you talking about? The IP address. The one that's been trying to breach my company's servers for the past week. It's yours. Silence. Heavy, guilty silence. I could hear him breathing. I don't know what you mean, he stammered. Cut the crap. Did you tell them? Did you tell Alex and Chloe about my project? He broke. His voice dropped to a pathetic whisper. I just mentioned it to Alex. I thought it was cool, what you were doing. I was bragging about you. Bragging, I repeated. The word tasted like ash. Alex said Chloe's company was interested in tech stuff. And she said if I helped connect them to the right target, there'd be a finder's fee. 10%. I didn't think 10%. He let that sit. My own cousin had sold me out. Not by accident. Not out of naivety. For a commission. Like I was a piece of real estate. And Alex? I asked. My voice so quiet it scared me. Alex knew? Another pause. Longer this time. He's the one who introduced me to Chloe's team. There it was. The final piece. My golden boy brother hadn't just laughed at my work over dinner. He'd actively helped his fiancée target it. He knew. He sat across from me at that table, watched Chloe tear me apart, and he knew exactly what she was doing, because he'd helped set it up. Please, Jason, David begged. Don't tell anyone. It was a mistake. I'm not going to tell anyone, David, I said, and the coldness in my own voice surprised me. I'm going to show them. I hung up before he could respond. I turned to Ben. My face must have looked like something carved from stone, because he didn't crack a single joke. He just said, "So what do? We don't fight back," I said. "We let them think they're winning, and we set a trap." Ben and I spent the next 72 hours turning our office into a war room. Coffee, cold pizza, and the grim satisfaction of building something beautiful and vicious. The trap was elegant. We created what's called a honeypot, a fake, vulnerable section of our server designed to look like a backdoor into Aurelia's source code. It was irresistible bait for someone who thought they were smarter than everyone else. But the moment anyone accessed it, it would silently record everything. Keystrokes, screen activity, and, this was the master stroke, it would activate the microphone on the user's device. We wouldn't just see what they were stealing, we'd hear them planning it. While we were building it, my phone rang. Mom. She didn't ask how I was. She never does. Jason, I need you to contribute $5,000 toward Alex and Chloe's engagement party. The venue alone is costing a fortune, and Chloe's family is putting in $20,000. We can't look cheap. $5,000. I let the number hang in the air. Jason, are you there? Yeah, Mom, I'm here. Good. So, can you send it by Friday? Your father and I already put in everything we can. And you're doing well enough with your computer thing, right? My computer thing. The company that was about to close an 8-figure deal. The thing they all laughed about over roast chicken. Every instinct told me to say no. But I needed them comfortable. I needed them unsuspecting. If I refused, there'd be drama, questions, maybe even Chloe sniffing around, wondering why I was pulling away. I'll send it tomorrow, I said. Oh, wonderful. You're a good boy, Jason. I transferred the money that night. $5,000 to fund a party for the woman who was trying to steal my life's work, hosted by the family that had spent 30 years telling me I wasn't good enough. 5 years ago, my father wouldn't lend me $20,000 to start my dream. Now they wanted $5,000 to celebrate the person trying to destroy it. And I paid it, because that's what the invisible sun does. The trap was set. The money was sent. The RSVP was confirmed. All I had to do was wait for Chloe to take the bait. She did. 48 hours before the party. The honeypot lit up like a Christmas tree on a Thursday night. Ben called me at 11 p.m., his voice electric. She's in. He took the bait. I drove to the office, and we watched it unfold in real time. The screen recording captured everything. Someone logged into VCF's network, navigating straight to our fake backdoor like they'd been given a map. And then the audio kicked in. Chloe's voice, sharp, unmistakable, barking orders at a small team. Come on. Find the core algorithm. We just need the source code and we can build our own clone. By the time we launch, the little accounting nerd who built this will never know what hit him. The little accounting nerd. That was me. That's what I was to her. Not a person, not a competitor, just an obstacle too small to worry about. Ben looked at me. We got her. Yeah, I said. We got her. We saved everything, backed it up 3 times, verified the timestamps. It was airtight. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, then made the mistake of picking up my phone and scrolling through old photos. There was one from a family trip to Disneyland. I was maybe 6. Alex was 8. We were both sunburned and grinning, and I was sitting on my dad's shoulders, and my mom was laughing at something. Really laughing. Not the performative laugh she does at dinner parties. We looked happy. We looked like a family. I stared at that photo for a long time and thought about what I was about to do. Tomorrow night, I was going to walk into a room full of people and blow up the only family I'd ever known. There was no version of this where we went back to normal. No version where we sat around a table again and pretended everything was fine. There was a version of us that was happy once. I'd spent 20 years looking for that family at every dinner table. Tomorrow, I was going to stop looking. I put on my suit the next morning, like a man putting on armor. Navy blue, well-tailored, nothing flashy. I wasn't going to that party to be seen. I was going to be heard, for the first and last time. The ballroom was exactly what you'd expect from a party Chloe helped plan. Expensive flowers, soft lighting, a string quartet in the corner. 100 people in their best clothes, murmuring and clinking glasses. On a big screen behind the stage, a slideshow of Alex and Chloe played on a loop. Perfect smiles. Exotic vacations. A life designed for an audience. I slipped in near the back and grabbed a glass of water from the bar. My parents spotted me almost immediately. My mom gave a tight little wave, her eyes already scanning the room for someone more important. Classic Diane. It didn't take long for the happy couple to find me. Alex swaggered over with champagne in his hand, and Chloe attached to his arm like a designer accessory. "There he is!" Alex boomed, clapping me on the shoulder, hard enough to make a point. "Glad you could make it, little brother. For a second there, I thought you might be too busy with your, He waved his hand vaguely, like my career was a smell he was trying to identify. Chloe smiled. That venomous, sweet smile. "We were just talking about you, Jason. I was telling Alex how impressed I am by your dedication. It's so rare to see someone so passionate about their little projects." I smiled back. Calm. Easy. "Thanks, Chloe. My little project is actually about to have a very big week." Her eyes narrowed for just a fraction of a second. Then the mask snapped back. That's when a man with silver hair and quiet authority walked up to our group. My heart jumped. Mr. Caldwell, the CEO of Sterling Westwood, the tech conglomerate that was finalizing the acquisition of my company. He was there because he was an old business friend of my father's. A coincidence that felt like a gift from the universe. My father hurried over, his face stretched into his best networking grin. "Caldwell, so glad you could make it. You know my son Alex, of course. And this is his brilliant fiancée, Chloe." He shook their hands politely. Then his eyes landed on me, and I saw the flicker of recognition. He knew my face from our video calls. "And this is our other son, Jason," my father added, almost an afterthought. "The way you'd mention a side dish." "Mr." Caldwell's eyebrows shot up. He extended his hand, grip firm and warm. "Jason, it's a real pleasure to finally meet you in person. We are all incredibly excited about the work you've been doing." Confused silence. Alex frowned. Chloe's smile tightened at the edges. My father looked like someone had switched the conversation to a language he didn't speak. "You two know each other?" my dad asked. "In a manner of speaking," Caldwell said smoothly. "Jason is something of a legend in our R&D circles." Before anyone could process that, Chloe jumped in. Ever the opportunist, always needing to control the room. "Oh, Jason is full of surprises," she laughed lightly. Then she turned to me, dripping with false warmth. "I just hope one day your company gets noticed by a big fund like mine. You just have to keep dreaming, right?" I looked at her, held her gaze, and something in my expression must have been different, because for the first time since I'd met her, I saw a flicker of uncertainty cross her face. "You know, Chloe," I said, just loud enough for our little circle to hear, "I think you're going to be very interested in what happens next." On the stage, the MC tapped the microphone. Alex gave a short, self-congratulatory speech. He thanked everyone, praised Chloe like she was a trophy he'd won at auction, and then, with that smug, familiar grin, he invited me up. "Let's get my little brother up here to say a few words." "Come on, Jay. Don't be shy." Polite applause. Every eye in the room on me. It was a power play. He wanted the audience to see the contrast, the golden boy and his awkward little brother, there to make Alex shine even brighter. I walked to the stage. The remote felt cool and solid in my pocket. 20 years of silence in my chest. Every step felt like a countdown. I reached the microphone and looked out at the sea of faces. My parents in the front row, my father sitting tall, my mother smiling, not at me, but at the picture we made. Her two sons on stage together, the family image preserved. And for one stupid, desperate second, I almost didn't do it. I looked at my mom, and I thought about that Disneyland photo. I thought about being small enough to ride on my dad's shoulders. I thought about the version of us that was happy once. Some part of me, the 10-year-old who won the science fair and just wanted someone to look, still wanted her to smile at me like that. Then I glanced at Chloe. She was whispering something to the woman next to her, a sly little grin on her lips. She caught my eye and gave me this look. This amused, pitying, dismissive look, like she was watching a dog try to do a card trick. I pressed the button. The romantic slideshow vanished. In its place, a screen recording appeared. Timestamps in the corner. VCF's network interface. A mouse cursor frantically navigating through file directories. A collective gasp rippled through the room. Then the audio. Come on, find the core algorithm. Chloe's voice, razor sharp, echoing through the ballroom sound system. We just need the source code and we can build our own clone. By the time we launch, the little accounting nerd who built this will never know what hit him. Dead silence. You could have heard a heartbeat. Chloe's face went white. Not pink, not pale. White, like every drop of blood, had drained straight down through the floor. She stood frozen, mouth open, hands gripping Alex's arm. Alex stared at the screen, then at her, then back at the screen. His expression crumbled from confusion to horror to something that looked a lot like nausea. My father was half out of his chair. My mother had her hand over her mouth. The video played on. It showed Chloe directing her team trying to bypass security layers, her frustration growing, her contempt for the anonymous founder dripping from every word. When the last frame froze, I turned back to the microphone. The little accounting nerd she's referring to, I said, my voice steady and clear in a way it had never been in my entire life, is me. The company she was trying to steal from, Aurelia Analytics, is my company. I let that settle, watched it land on face after face. And there's one more thing. Chloe, you mentioned your fund was looking to acquire a brilliant AI company. You were right. Sterling Westwood, Mr. Caldwell's company, finalized that acquisition this morning. I turned to look directly at her. She was shaking. As part of that deal, I'll be heading up their new AI division. So in a way, you were right about something else too. Your fund is very interested in my work. Because as of tomorrow morning, I'm the one signing your performance reviews. Chloe broke. She lunged toward the stage, her composure shattered. This is fake, she screamed, her voice cracking. He fabricated this. He's lying. Mr. Caldwell stood up from his table. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. The room went silent, the way a room goes silent when real authority speaks. Sit down, Miss Chan, he said, calm as stone. My legal team has already verified every second of that recording. Chloe stopped mid-stride. She looked at Caldwell, then at Alex, who took a full step away from her like she was contagious. Then at the 100 faces staring at her with a mixture of shock and fascination. She turned and fled, pushed past stunned guests, heels clicking against the floor, and disappeared through the double doors. Nobody followed her. Mr. Caldwell caught my eye from across the room and gave me a single decisive nod. That was all anyone needed. The verdict was in. The party didn't end. It shuttered. People started slipping away in small groups, casting glances at my family, like they were passing a car wreck on the highway. Nobody wanted to be associated with the fallout. I walked to the bar, poured myself a glass of water, and drank it slowly. My hands were steady. My heart was calm. The storm had passed, and I was still standing. Alex finally unfroze. He staggered over to me, his eyes wild, his whole golden boy facade cracked wide open. Why? He choked out. Why would you do this, Jason? You ruined everything. I set my glass down and looked at him. Really looked at him. Not up at him, the way I'd been trained to my whole life. Just at him. Eye to eye. You helped her, Alex. David told me everything. The finder's fee. The introduction to Chloe's team. You sat across from me at that dinner table and watched her tear me apart. And you knew exactly what she was doing, because you set it up. His mouth opened. Nothing came out. We were never a family, I said. We were a cast, and I was tired of my role. I turned and walked toward the exit. I almost made it to my car. They caught me in the parking garage. The whole delegation. My father, my mother, and Alex, trailing behind like a ghost of himself. Their footsteps echoed off the concrete walls. Jason, stop! My father's voice. The command voice. The one that had controlled me for 32 years. I stopped. But I didn't turn around. I just waited. You can't just walk away, my mother said, her voice shaking with a fury that was quickly replacing her shock. You have embarrassed this family in a way I never thought possible. You humiliated your brother. You destroyed his future. I turned around. The garage lights cast long shadows. They looked small under the buzzing fluorescence. Smaller than I'd ever seen them. Chloe was trying to steal my company, Mom. My life's work. Did you hear that part? Or were you too focused on the social embarrassment? She was ambitious, my father's pet. Maybe she went too far. But you handled this with no class. You aired dirty laundry in front of 100 people. It stopped being our laundry the moment you chose her over me, I said. It stopped being our laundry every time you praised Alex for breathing and criticized me for existing. After everything we've done for you, my mother started. Done for me? I let out a short, quiet laugh. 5 years ago, I asked Dad for $20,000 to build my company. He said no, said it was a computer fantasy. 2 weeks later, he bought Alex a BMW. Silence. My father's jaw tightened. That's the story of this family, I said. That's the only story that matters. My mother's face crumbled. Not with guilt, but with frustration. And then she said the thing that explained everything. The thing I think she'd been carrying for years. We invested everything in Alex, Jason. Your father and I. Our savings. Our retirement. His real estate ventures. He was the sure thing. Her voice cracked. It's all gone now. All of it. And there it was. Exposed, raw and ugly, under the parking garage lights. It was never about love. It was never about which son they were prouder of. It was a financial calculation. Alex was the high-yield stock. I was the savings bond gathering dust in a forgotten drawer. Their praise, their disappointment, their family structure. It was all just portfolio management. And their price investment had just crashed. I felt something I didn't expect. Not anger, not satisfaction, just a deep, tired sadness. The kind you feel when you finally stop hoping for something you were never going to get. I hope it was worth it, Mom, I said softly. Are you going to help us or not? She whispered. No, I said, but I'll send you the number of a good financial advisor. I got in my car and drove away. I didn't look back. And for the first time in 32 years, the silence didn't feel lonely. It felt like freedom. 6 months later, I was sitting at a coffee shop 3 blocks from my new apartment. Saturday morning. Nothing special. Sunlight through the window, a good cappuccino, and nowhere I needed to be. The merger with Sterling Westwood had gone through. I was VP of their AI innovation division. I had a team that challenged me and a boss who respected me. Aurelia wasn't just detecting fraud anymore. We were building tools to prevent it. My little project was actually making a difference. I heard through the grapevine that the fallout was everything you'd expect. Alex and Chloe's breakup was immediate and ugly. She was fired from VCF. He lost clients, lost his swagger, lost the only thing he ever really had, his image. My parents were dealing with the financial wreckage of betting everything on the wrong son. My mother called once, asked for money. I declined politely and sent her a financial advisor's number. She hung up on me. That was the last time we spoke. I thought about them sometimes, sitting in that coffee shop on Saturday mornings. Not with anger, not even with sadness, really. More like the way you think about the town you used to live in. Familiar, distant, no longer yours. I used to think freedom meant proving them wrong. It doesn't. Freedom is waking up on a Saturday morning and not needing to prove anything to anyone. It's a cup of coffee in the sunlight and the quiet knowledge that you are, finally, enough. Just you. No applause required. Thank you for sticking with me through this whole thing. Sharing it wasn't easy, but knowing someone out there is listening makes it worth it. I want to ask you something, and I mean this. I read every single comment. Have you ever had to choose between keeping the peace with your family and standing up for yourself? And if you did stand up, was it worth it? Or do you wish you'd handled it differently? Drop your story below. You never know who needs to hear it tonight. And if this hit close to home, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe. Not for the algorithm. For the next person scrolling at 2 in the morning who needs to know they're not alone.